Michika local government is one of the areas severely affected by the Boko Haram sect in Adamawa State. For over 2 years, the people lived outside their ancestral homes following the destruction of public facilities such as schools and hospitals. But it's a different story today, as the people now have a reason to smile.
Michika local government area, one of the 7 councils affected by Boko Haram in Adamawa State, northeast Nigeria. For over 2 years, the people lived outside their ancestral homes, either in IDP camps or with relations elsewhere. The devastation left public facilities such as schools, hospitals, and other government structures destroyed. Now, the displaced people of Michika have returned, with normalcy returning to the area and the establishment of a civil authority. The people say they have a reason to celebrate once again.
We don't have, if at all we have, little or no person in IDP camps, Michika people. We are all back home. That's what shows, that we are back home. If you go to the villages, to the hills, all the locals are back. But to tell people that we are back, and we don't want to remain in IDP camps. All we require is the government to claim the environment for us, to give us peaceful conditions that people can go about their normal activities.
Our guests, our sons and daughters that have come from different parts of the world are happy today. They are impressed. They have seen Michika, what it is, the destruction that has been caused by Boko Haram, and the number of people that have already returned, and the fact that life is coming to normalcy in Michika local government. It is something that is very, very impressive.
A book on the history of the Kamwe people, their origin, history and culture, written by Mr. Ilyayami Kwache, a native of Michika, is also presented.
Michika was sometime occupied by the Boko Haram insurgency. And people have been saying there is nobody in Michika. When you ask somebody to come to Michika, they will say, Michika is still under the occupation of Boko Haram. Our people have come back. And the only way I can show to the world that our people have come back is to organize the cultural day.
The Kamwe people had occupied Michika for years before the invasion by the Kanuris and most recently the Boko Haram sect. And now that they have their land back, they hope this time it lasts forever.
Let's cross over to our Abuja studios now, where Ibrahim Adra has more.
Hello, Melinda, and many thanks indeed. The former National Security Advisor, Colonel Sambo Dasuki, has been rearraigned before Justice Ahmed Mohammed of the Federal High Court, Abuja. Mr. Dasuki is facing a 7-count criminal charges bordering on illegal possession of firearms and money laundering. Before his rearraignment, the former NSA had been arraigned before Justice Adeni Ademola of the same court on a 5-count criminal charge bordering on possession of firearms alone. Our correspondent Amaka Okafo reports.
Today, the plea of the defendant was taken on all 7 counts, and he has pleaded not guilty. So that has ended that part, and then the court has already ruled that his bail conditions should continue as it was when the matter was under the previous judge. So what we have now is an application for witness protection, and the trial will start all over.
It's interesting you didn't object to the bail, sustaining the bail conditions. When exactly would he start enjoying that bail?
The bail is already there. Were you told that he's being kept because of this matter? No. So there are other issues. We are here for this matter and this matter only.
Have we protested it? We have gone to the ECOWAS court, and ECOWAS court has reiterated the fact that it should not be held. It should be allowed to go home. Maybe that as it may, we are appealing to the government. We are pleading with them to allow him to go on his bail. No matter the reservation, once the bail has been granted, and more so, the bail granted was never appealed, meaning that they are satisfied with what the court has done.
Now, as efforts to address the crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party, former President Goodluck Jonathan is announcing the composition of a special reconciliation committee made up of former Vice President Amnesty Sambo, former Senate President David Mark, and other eminent members of the party. Announcing this in Abuja after a stakeholders meeting, the former president appealed to members to bury their differences in order to end the crisis bedeviling the party.
Please be seated.
It is a gathering of the bigwigs in the People's Democratic Party in Abuja as former President Goodluck Jonathan convenes a stakeholders meeting to resolve the crisis rocking the party. The meeting begins with an appeal from Dr. Goodluck Jonathan and the chairman of the party's Board of Trustees.
Today is not a day to blame ourselves. No, we are not here to blame ourselves. We have blamed ourselves enough in the media. Today is not a day to insult ourselves. No, we have insulted ourselves enough in the media.
We must do whatever we can do to regain our past glory. We therefore need to embark on new strategies that will enable us to provide exemplary leadership.
The gathering continues behind closed doors, and after the session, Dr. Jonathan announces the outcome.
The committee will be chaired by any of us, but we will consult widely and take the decision and may chair the committee. Or if I'm not there, the former Vice President Amnesty Sambo or Senator David Mark may chair that committee.
However, before the meeting ends, the national chairman of the party, Senator Ali Modu Sheriff, storms out of the meeting, distancing himself from its deliberations.
You can call me to a meeting of a PDP and you said I cannot address the meeting gathering as national chairman of the party. That's never happened anywhere.
The governor of Ekiti State disagrees with Senator Ali Modu Sheriff.
To walk out of a meeting does not mean the meeting will still not hold. What we are saying is very simple. Let us all humble ourselves to have a party that people will buy into.
Clearly, Senator Ali Modu Sheriff's dramatic exit from the stakeholders meeting, only halfway into it, shows that the end of the crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party appears not to be so near in sight.
And now to the Senate, where the journey towards the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill has been giving a boost as the Senate Committee on Petroleum Upstream has laid the report of the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill before the Senate. The report is coming after the committee organized a public hearing to get views of professionals in the sector and concerned Nigerians on the bill. Correspondent Linda Akigbe reports.
The chairman, Senate Committee on Petroleum Upstream, Senator Tayo Alasho-Adura, laying the report of the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill before the Senate. The Petroleum Industry Bill, PIB, has been in the works for nearly 8 years at the National Assembly. The bill is getting another opportunity in this 8th Assembly, and it has been broken down into 5 parts, which lawmakers say will ensure a speedy passage.
The Petroleum PIB bill, it has never gone this far before. I think we're all proud that we have gone this far and finally break this jinx. Leader of the Senate.
It is expected that after the Senate passes the petroleum governance and institutional framework of the PIB, it would move to the other parts of the PIB, which focuses on fiscal framework and host communities. The National Assembly has promised that it would pass the PIB before the expiration of the 8th Assembly, and Nigerians are prepared to hold the National Assembly to this promise. Besides the Petroleum Industry Bill, a federal lawmaker drew the attention of his colleagues to some persistent problems associated with the presidential amnesty program. Senator Peter Mwoboshi says the amnesty program is being threatened by inadequate funding.
Note that the amnesty program was conceived by the federal government of Nigeria to stem the tide of disaffection, agitation and militancy in the Niger Delta area, which resulted in loss of lives, properties and oil revenue, and the result of the program has been quite encouraging. Worried that funds appropriated for the program have been depreciating steadily, leading to adverse impact on the operation of the program, as tension is already building up in the Niger Delta region.
After lawmakers made the observations, the Senate urged the federal government to release the balance of 15 billion naira in the Appropriation Act for funding the amnesty program. The upper chamber has also mandated its committee on Niger Delta to investigate the circumstances which led to the funding challenges confronting the amnesty program. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
The River State government appears to have run out of patience over the continued occupation of Bile waterfront by some residents. To this end, Governor Nyesom Wike has asked them to move to allow for the construction of the jetty in the area. Our correspondent, Emmanuel Ere, has this report.
For over 3 decades, this cluster of shanties and makeshift buildings have been home to the people of Bile waterfront community in Port Harcourt, River State. Some say here anything goes. Crime is a regular occurrence. The people here have remained reluctant to leave even after several calls to relocate from the waterfront to allow for the construction of a modern jetty. Now, it appears that their time is up, as the River State governor in company of some government officials are in the community, not only to assess the level of work done at the jetty, but also to give a final warning.
We'll be able to talk to them to say that, look, we can't continue to allow this the way it is, that there's a need for them to leave the place. We have provided an alternative place for them. And I think that those matters have been sorted out. But that does not also mean that you won't see some 1 or 2 persons who may want to, try to be stubborn. By the end of the day, the work will still be going on. And whatever that is for the interest of the people, that's what matters to me.
The governor says while the government advocates prudence in expenditure, it will not compromise quality.
Yes, people may have complained that, oh, why do these kind of films like Julius Berger, they are very expensive. Today they may be expensive, but in the long run they are not expensive. When you give it to contractors who are politicians who don't have even equipment, they try to do all kinds of things, and before you know it, 2 weeks time, you are back to square one.
The government has identified inflation of project costs as a huge leak in resources in the past, a situation the governor says has been dealt with in his administration. Emmanuel Ere, Channels Television News.